Beware of APNU, beware the AFC and Nagamutu. Our constitution is in jeopardy. They're holding on to power for the oil money. Now after 4 years of incompetence, Bharat moved the vote of
Mr.
Rajkumar.
No.
But if you put them back
Mr.
there,
Yes,
Guyana
yes.
will be worse than 92. The drug bond corrupt, they thief the money. Durban Park corrupt, they thief the money. The ministers corrupt, they thief the money. They living the good life with our money. On election day, turn out in strength. We put the PPPC in government. Prohibitions, forest states they close. 7,000 workers now taking blows. Rice farmers, the same thing they did to you. They promised 9,000, you're getting 2. Don't let them fool you like they did before. Don't listen to empty promises no more. Young people have no jobs, they're punishing. Even APNU supporters now suffering. From Chadi Chagan Airport, they thief money. Scandals galore, skullduggery. And if you're not a friend or family, you can only get a job if you PNC. On election day, turn out in strength. We put the PPPC in government. Now after 4 years of incompetence, Bharat moved the vote of
Mr. Rajkumar. No.
But if you put them back there,
Yes,
Guyana will be worse than 92. The drug bond corrupt, they thief the money. Durban Park corrupt, they thief the money. The ministers corrupt, they thief the money. They living the good life with our money. On election day, turn out in strength. We put the PPPC in government.
APNU AFC promised more jobs and a good life. Instead, we lost 30,000 jobs. Taxes went up, people are less safe, and cost of living skyrocketed. Now, after 4 years of neglect and corruption, the APNU AFC gang are coming with more empty promises, only cause they need you now. We are smart. Fool me once, shame on you. This time, we will not be fooled by your sneaky fake news, APNU promises. We vote in PPPC to get Guyana working again.
Thank you for joining me once again. It's always a pleasure to be in your living room and to discuss with you what's going on in our nation. You know, it's almost been a comedy last few days coming from the caretaker government. If you listen to Mr. Trotman, seems to have found religion. Suddenly, so he started confessing that, you know, the 18 million was not enough to take the bonuses from Exxon, to the fact that they allowed that to come into position for the 18 million because they needed a big friend. And that big friend they thought was Exxon. Exxon is not a country. Exxon can't defend Guyana's sovereignty as Venezuela issue came into place. So Trotman was really out of bounds. I think he found religion and started to confess prior to the election that he screwed up, taking orders from Granger himself. Granger and Harman now on the other end, they decided to do a joint comedy show and talk about sugar, and basically wanted to laugh at Dr. Irfan Ali talking about resuscitating the sugar industry. And what is ironic about all of that comedy that Granger and Harman did is, you know, you can tell how ignorant they are about products and economics in our nation. You ever thought of what the sugar cane as a product can do for a nation and what it did for a nation for decades? The sugar cane not only produces sugar, it produces molasses, rum, bagasse, ethanol. Even the wastes make pens and paper products. As we diversify sugar and we look at expanding that sugar cane is one of our greatest products Guyana has ever produced. The British, the slaves, the indentured servants all realized how powerful that sugar cane. and we've got comedians sitting in the caretaker government, can understand simple logic and simple economics, that if we can develop that sugarcane and diversify that sugarcane, what that sugarcane can do to our nation. And when you fire 7,000 sugar workers because you lack the stupidity of understanding what the sugarcane can do for a nation, it destroys our economy, destroys the lives of real people in our nation, destroys families, and put 30,000 plus people out of work because of the stupidity of the Granger in his administration at the time to discontinue the sugarcane as a product. Imagine the bagasse and the fuel can put megawatts into the grid. Look at what we would have done with the diversification of sugar. 2015 manifesto talked a lot about the diversification of sugar. Sugar would have been very profitable as we move forward. You know, when you subtract the drainage Gaisuko did in the healthcare, sugar is a profitable market. So we want to be in the sugarcane industry. And Dr. Ali specifically said in his transformative agenda this week, sugarcane will be resuscitated. We will retrain and retool the sugar workers. We will retool the factories to ensure the diversification work. That's where we fit. Sugar cane is one of the most powerful products we have in Guyana. Imagine DDL imports molasses right now as part of the rum process. Never have they ever had to import molasses. And we gonna say, and Granger and Harmon gonna say basically that Dr. Ali can't understand what he's saying. Dr. Ali is an economist. We all understand the development of product lines. We all understand how to develop profitability markets. And between 2015 and 2020, had the PP stayed in office, you would have seen a significant diversification. We had already started to test moving the sugarcane into ethanol. We know Brazil, for example, used 85% ethanol in their cars. And the US, they use 10 to 15%. That's a very significant market to turn the sugarcane into ethanol. So Dr. Ali said he will resuscitate the sugar industry in his directive in the launching of the PPP manifesto for 2020. Exciting, a transformative agenda that will see people back at work and to see all of us having a play in each of the aspects of the manifesto. The other person that joined the comedian act this week was Patterson. Patterson said basically the PP stole his infrastructure plan. Well, you just have to go back and look at all the projects that the PP left him to do, funded them, and he can't even finish. He can't even finish the Sheriff Street project. Can't finish the airport right. Struggling with the East Coast Road. Imagine that was left with funds, plans, programs, and Patterson can't finish those. Can't come up with a single new idea, but yet he had the gauze to say that the PP stole his projects. So the comedian show happens around us. We understand why the APNU people are suffering right now, struggling to catch themselves, because the PPP is ready to take back government, and each of us have a play in the manifesto. And every one of you would have a copy of the excerpts that is being distributed right now in every household. Look for a copy. If you don't have a copy and want to stop by at Freedom House to get a copy, please feel free to do that. It involves each of us. I just talked about the sugar industry, how we plan to bring the sugar industry back, and why the sugar cane as a product is one of the most important products in Guyana. And it's not just about rehiring all the sugar workers. As you transfer and transform the sugar industry into producing bagasse, more ethanol, the waste products, the more the molasses, you now have a higher paying level of work. You've got engineers necessary, chemical engineers for the ethanol plant. So it is an important factor, as Dr. Ali talks about, increasing to 50,000 jobs over the first half of the decade. That's how some of those jobs will come from. Then you look at where do you fit. If you're a rice farmer, for example, one, we've got to look back at regaining the rice exports markets. And as you look at what rice can do for a nation, you know, you struggle with the drainage. You're paying higher fees from the APNU people. They put so much fees on you, you can be profitable. They didn't pay you enough for your paddy. They didn't get the markets needed. You are suffering. As we look at rescuing the rice industry, those are the things first we would fix. Then putting a stabilization fund in place so that the rice farmers can benefit and be able to develop their fields as they wait for payment from the millers. That sustainability fund will be a bridge between those payments, and they can get on with getting the next crop ready. And as we reduce drainage, immediately Dr. Ali said he will sign the reversal of the drainage fees for the farmers around the nation. That's putting money back in the pocket, gets you back to work as we look at expanding the rice industries. Again, where do you fit? If you're a rice farmer, sugar worker, I just explained that. If you're a traditional farmer out there planting your cash crops, look at that, where those drainage fees applies to you. We look at expanding the export markets, taking VAT off of exports. APNU put VAT on exports. If you want to ship your product and be competitive in the Caribbean market, competitive in the South American market, competitive in the markets around the world, and we are putting VAT on exports, how could you ever compete with Chile and Dominican Republic? Dr. Ali said in the manifesto, we're taking VAT off of exports. So immediately, as a non-traditional or the cash crop farmer, you could be guaranteed that you fit in that process. You have the ability now to get your goods to market. I've talked this many times. The Caribbean market imports $10 billion worth of food. As we resolve transport economics, as we get our harbors between the Berbice, Demerara, and Essequibo rivers, and you get shipping industry incentives to private investors to get those products to market in the Caribbean, farmers are going to make much more money for their pineapples and other products that they've been making of recent. In Grenada, for example, it costs $10+ for a Guyana pineapple. We've got to look at those markets as we develop that industry. And how do we do that? Dr. Ali talks about the resurgence of energy. How do we resolve energy? We know we've got oil, and we know we have natural gas. And when we bring that natural gas into our nation, 200 megawatts is very easy to produce. And we produce 200 megawatts of energy immediately. That brings our energy cost close to 70% down. We will install back the Amalia Falls as a capital project. That alone over the next couple of years, ties with natural gas, tied with solar energy, tied with wind power, an integrated approach, we'll see our energy cost goes down. Now we can produce now better products. So again, going back to just the agriculture industry, rice can move from just rice to Rice Krispies, to cereal, other manufacturing products. Sugar can get to other refined products, very cheaper to look at the high-end crystal. We can put our bora into cans or our corn into cans as we buy in the supermarket today. Those are all products that comes from the energy solution. So it's an exciting, transformative agenda that Dr. Ali has presented to the nation under the PPPC 2020 manifesto. All of us fit. You know, if you're just a student, you're a young person coming up, you're in university or about to go to university, imagine getting to a free education, getting to 20,000 online scholarships. You can be anywhere in the interior, in Essequibo, anywhere, and be able to get your degree online. And with that comes improved technology services, ICT as we call it. We can be having a lot more data on our phones if government didn't put 14% VAT on it. Dr. Ali said immediately, I hope it's midnight, I think he said midnight that night of inauguration, he would sign the reversal. So 14% less you would pay for data. That gives you an extra week or so of your data plan. And ultimately, as we develop the fiber optic solution in our nation, we develop the technology revolution across our country, every one of our citizens would have access to the internet. And that's a commitment Dr. Ali has made as he puts together the improvement of not 50,000 jobs alone, and those jobs will come from many different sectors, the mining sector to the agriculture sector, to the tourism sector. We know the last couple of months, a couple of years, we have seen the boom from the oil industry, thousands of people coming into our nation. The PPP had a vision, ladies and gentlemen, to build the Marriott Hotel in Guyana. Without that vision, where would we be today? No place for the foreigners to stay. We welcome them in our country. We don't want them to rape our country. We want our people to have number one in everything we do. But we've got to build 5 more hotels similar to that. That is where a lot of thousands of jobs will come from as the industry changes, as the nation changes over the next decade. And Dr. Ali presented just the first half of the decade. The boom of our infrastructure. Imagine we, in our 2015 manifesto, talked about bridging the Demerara River, was going to bridge the Quarantine River. And I want to say it, for every year APNU has been in government, it has put our nation back 3 to 4 years, every single year. Imagine we would have had the Demerara Bridge built already. 5 years later, Patterson, Granger, the stupidity of his administration cannot get the bridge even started, can't even push the excavator to clear the way for the bridge, start putting some piles in the Demerara River, and they talk that they want another term. You know, when the PP had already left the plans in place to get the Demerara Bridge done, potentially would have had the bridge to Quarantine River done to Suriname. That is what you call commitment, development, hard work, progress, able to finance it. This government has suffered all around from stupidity, and they still want to say they want another term. Granger is a comedian, absolutely a comedian. I don't mind calling him that. I listened to his interview, and he is so lost. He said he went into Albion Estate and he was shocked at the industry. Did he know that he stopped the Albion Estate from testing the ethanol plant? Brazil is the second largest producer of ethanol in the world. Guyana was now going to use some of the waste of the sugar cane to produce ethanol. Potentially some of the new vehicles coming into Guyana can use a local market with ethanol. Granger said he was lost by going to Albion. A man that understands nothing about the economics of our nation, not a patriot of our nation, doesn't take our people seriously, take our people for granted. As Dr. Ali describes, and it was, as he did outline the manifesto, and all of us would get a copy of it over the next couple of weeks, and the detailed manifesto will come out in January. But Dr. Ali talks about, you know, he looked at single mothers and looking at daycare for single mothers. When he looked at putting back the school grants to our young children, those are things that brings warmth to parents' hearts. The fact that we all need that help in times of need. And as we look forward to the holidays, and I feel very bad for the thousands of people that are out of work, that cannot take care of those young children, that will be looking for at least one present under the tree. Dr. Ali said, you know, March 2nd, he will make sure that he puts that school grant back in our hands. He will make sure he increases over the next few years. He will ensure that the 50,000 jobs come back into play, and we can see where those opportunities come. As you read the manifesto, each one of us can say, here is where I fit. If I'm a miner, here is where I fit. If I'm a farmer, here's where I fit. If I'm a public servant, here's where I fit. If I'm a student, here's where I fit. And I want to be part of building a stronger nation and working together. Dr. Ali talks about an equal opportunity nation, and he wants to be an equal opportunity president. Regardless of who you vote for come March 2nd, Dr. Ali is committed to make sure that each of our Guyanese benefit. And that's something you don't hear about too often. You see what Granger did. He fired thousands of sugar workers. He fired thousands of people. He didn't care who he fired, because he thought that the sugar cane wasn't worth a dime. I don't know which country he grew up in. People died. Our ancestors died fighting to keep sugar alive because it wasn't profitable. And it gets worse. Imagine you want to know why our exchange rate has gone up, why we can't pay our bills, why our debt has gone up significantly under the Granger administration. If you're not getting foreign currency, you're not selling the sugar on the open market, you're not bringing in foreign money, you can't pay the foreign debt, so the exchange rate goes up. Businesses, private sector now, because of that exchange rate, has to buy a computer at a higher price because they got to buy the US dollars at a higher rate. They buy the computer at a higher price. They got to sell it to us now at a higher price. That is the stupidity of what Granger government has done to our nation over the last 4.5 years, going on 5. He can't even follow the rule of law. Can't dissolve parliament. Can't accept the no confidence vote. Can't get an election date on time based on the Constitution. Can't get his ministers resign. That shows total disregard for our nation. And when you want to know why you are suffering and why we are suffering in our house tonight, why we don't have money to pay the bills, why we don't have high-paying jobs, is because when a man sitting in the highest office can't even follow the law that put him there, the people that voted for him, he is a servant to society, not a man that drives in 10 cars. I tell you, I saw it for myself the other day going down the East Bank. The procession of David Granger lasts about a half a mile long. From the outriders to the first car is about a 1/8 of a mile. To the next car, another 1/8 of a mile. By the time he finishes, he takes over a mile, a half a mile potentially with the number of cars he drives. Imagine a president of 750,000 people, and he's a caretaker president of a country, got to have a half a mile worth procession with cars and outriders, slowing the traffic down. No one wants to assassinate Mr. Granger. People want him out of office. Mr. Granger, your security is not at risk. Your office is at risk. And on March 2nd, you will be voted out of office because of the crap you've done to our nation and what you've made our people suffer. You will not survive come March 2nd. And I want you again to pay attention to Dr. Ali's outreach in the manifesto. Dr. Jagdeo outlined a lot of initiatives also at the launch. Read it, Building the Future. Look at the infrastructure. You know, when we look at the tying the road to Brazil, that's something we have talked about, that in 2015 to 2020, the PP manifesto said we would have had that done. Well, that is back on the agenda again because we're now 5 years behind. The road to Brazil, the Deepwater Harbor, Berbice, tying that to the booming construction industry, looking at putting the road finally from Temeri to the East Coast Road, the 4-lane highway, bridging some of the hinterland communities with thousands of miles of roads. That is what you call development. And that's a transformative agenda from a man that will deliver a transformative program, Dr. Irfan Ali, when he takes office on March 2nd. That's what we've got to look forward. You're going to see a paper like this coming out to your door. Look for our people. Thousands of them across the country is handing these out. It just gives you an idea of some of the plans that we have put in place. And when you read it, you know, you think of the cattle industry. We have thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of acres of land. Imagine we putting thousands and thousands of cattle in the Rupununi. And as you solve energy and you bring that energy cost down, imagine our dairy plants that will pop up from the private sector, producing our own dairy products in Guyana. We all buy the chocolates and the Cadbury and all these things coming from overseas. Imagine we doing that right here. Dr. Ali is committed to making sure that is, you know, when you put a plan together, you have to do it in building blocks. You know, you look at increasing the job opportunities, building the pillars. The pillars are the foundation of what needs to go up in order for you to achieve your vision. The theory is that we're going to have a great Guyana, a better Guyana. That's our vision. That's a theory. That's our dream. We want a better Guyana. And Dr. Ali is committed to a better Guyana, a stronger Guyana, with us putting these pillars into place. solving energy, giving the energy the biggest bang for its money, bringing our costs down. And in the meantime, while he put these programs in place, he's not leaving us alone. He's going to take away VAT from water and electricity, from data, reverse the drainage fees, the license fees, put the school grant back into play, where $10,000+ come into our household every year for us to take care of our kids' uniforms and other items. Looking at single mothers, looking at the infrastructure of IT. That is, in the meantime, while we had to resuscitate all these industries that Granger government has degraded in 5 years, 4.5 years. How could one man do such damage to our nation? It is because of a tradition of the PNC prior in the 80s, how they destroyed Guyana. Did Granger just fail to understand that we are in the 21st century? Was he still living in the 20th century? That he couldn't figure out what to do? It's sad. I mean, I am sad, not because of just we want to win power, we want to get our programs in place. It's sad because our nation suffered in the last 4.5 years. Granger, you made our nation suffer. And for you to get on television and tell the nation people love you, or you've got a plan and you want another chance, you fail on your 100-day promises, you fail on your manifesto. I credit Dr. Jagdeo, though Dr. Jagdeo has run this country basically for the last 4.5 years, because he has made sure that every time he gets an opportunity, he gives the government at the time the opportunity to change. He gives them plans, he described what shouldn't get done, how it should be done. They refuse to listen. And look where they're at today. They cannot recover. March 2nd, Dr. Ali said to many of all of Guyanese, if you support the PPP, we appreciate your vote. We appreciate you joining the team and making the things happen in the next decade. And the first half of the decade is going to be the start of an exciting decade, which every Guyanese, regardless of your color, your race, your texture of your hair, the color of your eyes, whether you're fat or thin, you will be part of the development of a stronger nation and a better Guyana. And he basically is committed, not a promise, he is committed to ensuring those plans that you will read in the excerpts in the manifesto come into play. It is a serious time. We have a critical couple of months ahead of us. All of us need to be ready. For those APNU supporters that may have never voted for the PPP ever, I think you need to get a chance. I want you to read some of the ideas here. And I want you to tell me, if you get an opportunity, why and how you can benefit. And I want you to compare it to what Mr. Granger has done in the last 4.5 years and what promises he would tell you in the next couple of months. Cannot happen. It's time for a transformative agenda. It's time to restore national pride to our nation, a sense of duty, and an economic plan where each of us will benefit. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to meeting all of you as we walk around with Dr. Ali in this campaign, and we shake your hand, and we get into your house or at a rally, and we outline the transformative agenda for the next decade. Every one of us will play a part, and every one of us will benefit from all the programs that is put in place. Thank you for joining me. God bless.
We put the PPPC in government. Prohibitions, forest stay closed. 7,000 workers now taking blows. Rice farmers, the same thing they did to you. They promised 9,000, you're getting 2. Don't let them fool you like they did before. Don't listen to empty promises no more. Young people have no jobs, they punishing. Even APNU supporters now suffering. From Chadi Chagan Airport, they thief money. Scandals galore, skullduggery. And if you're not a friend or family, you can only get a job if you're PNC. On